Welcome to Elementary Python for CBSE. Today we are going to discuss about queues. Queues are special list called FIFO list, first in first out list, where elements are added at the rear end and removed from the other end. The first element that is added is the first to be removed. It is a linear data structure, that means elements can be accessed sequentially. Let us see how elements are added one after another. So you can notice how items are added to the rear end. Now see how elements get removed from the front end. Data structure operations on queues. Queues can be implemented using Python lists. Queues are linear data structure and so as lists. So queues are implemented using lists. The insert operation, also called the enqueue operation, inserts an element at the rear end of a queue. It will be added or appended at the end of the list. There may be overflow conditions which will occur when the queue is full and we try to insert any element, but since Python lists are dynamic, this may be ignored and this will occur only when memory is full. The operation which removes an element from the front end of a queue is called dequeue, and this can be implemented by removing the first element from the list or elements from the beginning of a list. While removing an element from the list, care must be taken to check the underflow condition, which occurs when we try to remove an element from an empty queue. Traversal is the process of processing each element or accessing each element from the queue from the front end to the rear end. Let us now see how we can implement it in Python using list. We have defined three functions: enqueue, dequeue and traverse. Enqueue takes two arguments, the queue and the element to be inserted at the rear end, that is at the end of the list. This can be implemented by concatenating the item as a single element list to the already existing list, or by using the append method to append it at the end of the list. And then we are just displaying the element at the last index whose backward index is -1, and we are returning the queue. While performing the dequeue operation, that means removing an element, the element will be removed from the front end, that is from the beginning of the list. So we have to check whether the list is having an element or not, or it is empty. If the list is empty, then we will return nothing, so it will return none. Otherwise it will pop the element at index 0 and return the element. The traversal operation displays each element of the queue from the front end to the rear end. Since the front end is at index 0 and the rear end is having the index of length -1, so we can simply display the elements of the list by using a for loop. The main module can be implemented as a menu driven program where we ask the user for choice, and on giving choice as 1, we will perform the enqueue operation after getting the value for the element to be inserted, and this may be repeated until the user chooses no to stop adding more elements. Similarly, option 2 may be used for deleting or removing an element from the queue, and option 3 will be used for traversing the list. Any other option will result in a wrong choice. So with option 1 we are invoking the enqueue function, with option 2 we are invoking the dequeue function, and with option 3 we are invoking the traverse function. Let us run this Python program which we have already discussed. It is presenting a menu for enqueue, dequeue and traversal. Let us choose the option 1. It will ask to enter an element. Suppose I give the element as 12. So it shows that rare element is 12. Then yes, I want to add more element. Suppose 23. So it says that rare element is 23. Yes, I want to add one more element. And suppose this is 34. No, I don't want any more elements to be added. So it displays the queue as 12, 23 and 34. Now yes, I want to traverse this queue. It has displayed the queue from front to the rear. And then yes, I want to remove one element. So I give the choice as 2 for DQ. And it says front element is removed. Q is 23 and 34. This way we can perform the different operations on Q. Let us now discuss some application of queues. Queues are used heavily in our day-to-day life. We may find queues in almost all the places, in ticket counter, in bus stop, in students getting in and out of the class, and many more. Queues also find practical application in computers' internal resource management, like for processor management. Job queue and ready queue are used for different devices like printers, disks, etc. Device queues are used. Different variations of queues. There are double-ended queues which allows insertion and deletion at either of the end. There are two variations of double-ended queues: input restricted DQ and output restricted DQ. Double-ended queues, in short, they are also known as DQs. So input restricted DQ allows insertion only at one end but allows removal from both the ends, whereas output restricted DQ allows deletion only from one end, however allows insertion at both ends. There also may be circular queues where the last element is adjacent to the first element. Generally, these are used with programming languages having fixed size or static data structures such as arrays to overcome the problem of unutilized space. However, Python lists being dynamic, they don't have this problem of unused memory space. Thank you.